Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's live group session, circle, virtual community exploration, whatever you want to call it. Today, the focus and our theme is on God's blue ocean strategy for you. We'll explore that with words and have a conversation about it, whatever is coming up around that you'd like to explore. It's based on a book that I read many years ago, Blue Ocean Strategy by these fine folks. There's a link in the description on YouTube, and if you're not currently on YouTube, I encourage you to click the link in the description to become a subscriber if you haven't already. In any case, I'm excited to be with you here. Can't wait to begin exploring, diving into whatever topics are important to you, and so on. But before we do anything else, let's gather in our big, beautiful circle energetically, shall we? Setting everything else aside on the emotional and the energetic and the physical. If it's comfortable for you, I just invite you to close your eyes and begin breathing in and out through the nostrils with your palms to the sky. And as you find your way into the energetic circle that we sit in together, let's do a little bit of breathing, shall we? Deep breath in and hold. And as you begin releasing this breath now, letting go of everything that has come before in this day, all the way out to the count of 8. Letting go of the thinking that has been dominating in this day, the emotions that have been dominating in this day, even the way of being is dominating in this day. Just let go of all of that. It makes room for the divine to express more fully in, through, and as you. Whoops. We've got a challenge, a technical challenge, huh? Let me see. Angelica says we've got bad sound. Is it getting better, Angelica? Let me try. Mute. Let's see if this is any better. Okay. Is this working better? Can you hear me better? Apologize. There are some equipment adjustments here, and I want to make sure they're working before we get going. If they're not, we'll cancel and start over again. I should have checked it. I should have tested with this new equipment. So I'm just going to sit tight for a minute, and if Angelica or anyone can report in. It's working better now. Is that true? This comment was made at 3 minutes after. I'm just going to check one more minute here. I apologize for the technical excitement showing up here. Some echo is what we're hearing. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to cancel this broadcast, and I'm going to set this up again. And, it says it's all good now. Joseph says it's good. Judy says no low sound. I'm not sure what's going on. Okay. I'm going to wait for a few more. Misharda's saying it's okay. Awesome. These are all comments that are coming in from YouTube. Hallelujah. Let's try to do a little breathing and get started again. Oh, good. Gary says it's better now. Hallelujah. That's so funny. I made an assumption, and you know what assumptions can do? They can really create an interesting dynamic, can't they? Oh, my goodness. A new laptop, a repaired laptop, and you just never know what's going to happen. All right. Let's start over again from here, shall we? Let's do a little bit of breathing. Hey, if you're new, you might be wondering, why am I laughing so hard when things are falling apart? Here's why. Because underneath everything else is the divine. And what else can we do except surrender and open up to a more complete experience of who we really are? And who I really am in this moment is somebody who thinks it's kind of funny if the technology isn't cooperating. And I don't mean to be laughing at the circle that we have gathered here. I'm more giggling myself. I just think it's a nice divine joke at my expense. And I figure it's not even a thought, it's just what I'm doing. If I can laugh along with it, perhaps at some point I'll be in on the joke and then maybe things can adjust. So anyway, I'm glad you're here. By the way, if you don't know who I am, my name is Ken Stone. I'm a spiritual teacher and author. And whether you've stumbled across this experience today or you plan to be here, you're part of a worldwide community of spiritual individuals who are really interested in opening up to a deeper experience of the divine within. That's what we're doing here. Okay, let's start over again. What we're doing to begin is some meditating, then we'll open into a Q&A, then we'll drop into deeper transmission. Some people might refer to that as a healing session or a session. It's going to open up very naturally and organically, and then we'll wrap up our time together. Sometimes these things go on for about an hour, sometimes less, sometimes more. It really depends on the questions and the conversation that opens up. Super grateful to Angelica or whomever mentioned that there were sound issues to start, and everyone else who's jumped in to let me know that it's actually working now. I so appreciate it. Okay, here we go. Take two. Deep breath in and hold. And as you begin releasing this breath now, letting go of everything, once again, that has come before in this day, all the way out to the count of 8. It's the thinking, the feeling, and the being expressions that have been showing up in this day. Why are we letting those go? It's not because there's something wrong with them. Maybe there are expressions of dissonance that are showing up. Maybe there are expressions of resonance. Either way, there's a more complete experience of divinity waiting to flood through you into every aspect of your being, your body, your mind, and all outward expressions of life. And that's an interesting idea, but it's a way more interesting experience, and it's the experience that I'm interested in sharing with you. That's really my focus. I love talking about ideas, love exploring ideas, love answering questions and diving in. But ultimately, what we're doing here together is having an experience. Or at least I hope that's one of the things that we're focused on. Okay, another deep breath in and hold. And as you begin releasing this breath now, letting go of everything that has come before since this past Saturday, since the solstice, the June solstice. And if you're listening to the recording, I'm referring back to the 20th of June, 2020. We're letting go of all that stuff that has come since then, that has unfolded since the solstice, all the way out to the count of 8. Again, on the thinking, the feeling, and being levels. And another deep breath in and hold. And as you release this breath now, letting go of everything that has come before since the beginning of the year, all the way out to the count of 8. Again, thoughts, feelings, and being. Release all of that, all the way back to the start of the year, out to the count of 8. Thanks for letting me know, Gary. I so appreciate you checking in over on Twitter and letting me know everything is working well there. Hallelujah, we're up and running.
Another deep breath in and hold. And as you begin releasing this breath now, letting go of everything that has come before since you were born, all the way out to the count of 8. Again, the head and thinking, the heart, emotions, and the hips, the being expression, all the way out to the count of 8. And one more deep breath in and hold. And as you begin releasing this breath now, letting go of everything that has come before since the inception of your soul, all the way out to the count of 8. Again, everything, thoughts, feeling, being, everything associated with the inner and outer expression of your essence, all the way back to the inception of the soul. Just let it all go. Release it all. And with your eyes still closed, just notice that cue of breath. In front of your face, you breathe in. Each unit of breath comes into your body through your nostrils without any condition or criteria. It's not asking a question, doesn't care what you believe, the color of your skin, your ethnicity, your sexual identity, your gender orientation, none of it, your political beliefs. The breath is serving you fully. Doesn't matter if you got angry at someone in traffic, if you've behaved in ways that aren't congruent with how you really feel, or whatever horrific things may have happened to you. The breath comes in to serve fully. And notice in the cue, in your mind's eye, with your eyes still closed, and maybe even with your imagination, if that's more comfortable for you, or if that's the resource that's accessible right now, there's a color that's beginning to infuse itself into the cue. And that color might be static, it might be dynamic. And if you're assigning it with your imagination, I just invite you to pick something that's not normally present in the body, except perhaps in your eyes. Then just notice as it infuses itself throughout the cue, each breath drawn in, another breath entering into the cue, and the totality of that cue infused with this color. Changing or fixed either way is perfect. And with your next breath, be with the breath from the perspective of the color as you move nostrils up to the crown and then down into the lungs. And just, if you can, stay in the lungs, in your mind's eye, in your intuitive awareness, and you can move time forward very gently initially and then maybe a little bit faster. And just notice that color it's almost like a marker. It's indicating the vector of the breath. The breath moves into the lining of the lungs, and so too the color, and then into the bloodstream, so too the color, and then into each and every cell throughout the entirety of your body, so too the color. And there's a simple conclusion we can draw from this. The breath is becoming you, and you are becoming the breath. And just notice if you become aware of any inward or outward signs of resonance, could be buzzing or tingling, or a sense of the truth of that statement, or perhaps you see it or know it in other ways or hear it. There may be lots of different ways that that statement is affirmed. The statement again, the breath is becoming you, and you are becoming the breath. And notice rationally, right? Your mind, your thinking mind, well, sure, oxygen, lungs, bloodstream, cells in the body. Okay, yeah. And then maybe there are some other aspects of that yes that are coming into the body. I like to think of that, your body, as an intuitive guidance system. The body is expressing or it becomes the outward expression of that inner innate relationship and connection and expression and experience of that most essential of relationships with the divine within you. That's how I perceive it. And whatever is unfolding in your experience and your awareness is perfect. It's not like it needs to happen a certain way, and maybe it's not going to happen today. It's okay. Whatever is unfolding for you is perfect. The breath is becoming you, and you are becoming the breath. And notice then, if you shift your awareness from inside your lungs out and look at the breath of the planet, notice how the breath of the planet is serving that cue that serves you, the breath that you're breathing in and out, but it also serves your neighbor and your neighbor's neighbor and so on and so forth throughout the community, the region, the continent, the hemisphere, the planet. With each breath, you are directly connecting to each and every person on the planet. And it's not just the people of the planet. It's not just other human beings, right? The breath serves people and animals and insects and rocks and dirt and trees, water and fish and so on and so forth. Everyone and everything. And so we can say with each breath, you are connected to everyone and everything. Breathing in and out, that essential connection to all that is. And it's not just the breath of the planet, is it? For at the very edge of the atmosphere, that breath of the planet becomes the breath of the cosmos. For that last unit of breath touches space and in turn every other part of space. And so we can say, with each breath, you are connected to everyone and everything throughout the entire cosmos, including the divine, that energy that underwrites everything else. Perhaps you perceive it as a light at a tremendous distance initially, but drawing closer with each breath until it's eventually close enough that you can perceive those twin frequencies, the frequency of the divine itself, the frequency of perfect health, intertwined such that there is no separating one from the other. Eventually, that light connecting in to you, perhaps initially at your nostrils and then instantaneously throughout every level of your being, known and unknown. Be it a waveform or a particle, each of the smallest aspects of that light connecting into each of the smallest aspects of you, the invitation extended, come return to your natural state of resonance and alignment. And with that, those artifacts of dissonance, you might even feel them falling away as if your body is feeling resonance that is spreading throughout the entirety of your being, those artifacts appearing to fall away and gather at that universal drain. The divine is becoming you, and you are becoming the divine. For whatever remains in separation, I invite you to remove the universal plug. I'll do the same. Let's begin. I'm so grateful for your patience and your perseverance today, especially given how we started our time together with some microphone issues apparently now resolved. That's beautiful. We've been spending some time together doing a little bit of meditation, some guided meditation with divine connecting breath, opening into transmission with the words, let's begin. I've got a couple of things I'm interested in exploring at greater depth with you, and of course, your questions, your reflections, and so on. So grateful to everyone who commented at the beginning to help me understand the mic wasn't working and then to let me know it is working now. I don't know if you're there. If you're watching, I can't acknowledge and thank you for participating unless you comment. So please do so in the comment box to the side or below the video, wherever you are. And I'll just say this again, since I don't know if you heard me say it at the beginning. If you haven't already, I really invite you to click. There's a little shortened link, a bit.ly link. If you click that, you'll become a subscriber to my YouTube channel. And it's really sort of live video and video resources central. So I really invite you to, if what I'm exploring resonates with you, and if you'd like to continue this exploration and continue to gather, you don't have to subscribe, but when you do, you get notified if you click the bell anytime a new video comes out and all that excitement. All right, glad you're here. Yanya's checking in. I wanted to respond to you, Yanya. Thanks for being here, Yanya in Switzerland. She needs instructions on how to send messages. Help me out here, Yanya. I think you just type in the YouTube comments to the right and then click return or comment. I think that's how you do it. If that doesn't make sense, I'll take a minute and go look at it here. I don't actually know if John's on the line right now or not. Maybe somebody else on YouTube could comment and make that clear. If not, I'm happy to jump on and try to figure it out. We'll open into any other comments or questions that are coming up. Love to hear. Just want to acknowledge and thank everyone who's on the line live, and welcome everyone who's participating in the replay as well. Really invite you to comment as well. If the video is resonating with you, when you like it, it does some really interesting things in the algorithm in YouTube. It just helps this become a resource for other people as well. And so if it does resonate with you, I invite you to like the video, give it a thumbs up, and so on. Okay, so maybe when my mic wasn't working, I was talking about this book. This book is something I got back when I was a mortgage lender. And for those of you that don't know, thank you, Judy, for sharing with Yanya about how to comment. Those of you who don't know, this book, Blue Ocean Strategy, was published back in 2005. I believe that was the first edition. Maybe it was published before that originally. Anyway, let's call it 2005 for giggles. It's easy to look up. I put a link to the book in the description on YouTube if you're interested in checking it out. In any case, I was a mortgage lender at the time. I was interested in spirituality, but it was very much a private pursuit. The reason why I'm bringing this book up right now is this book is all about how to develop a strategy. It's a business strategy book, right? So the point of this book, or at least my interpretation as I recall now, all these years later, because I haven't read it recently, is how important it is to develop what they call a blue ocean strategy. That is to say, a strategy in business where you're communicating or engaging with the marketplace, your clients, where there's no other competition, where there's nothing else there. And in my email earlier today to the community, and if you're not currently on the email list, you can get there and become a subscriber at my website, kenwstone.com/newsletter will get you there if you're interested in becoming a subscriber. In my newsletter earlier today, I just made a reference to God's blue ocean strategy. And I made a few comments, shared about a conversation I had with a buddy of mine. And there was another theme I made reference to, and I said, hey, let's gather this afternoon. Let's get together for our weekly exploration. I want to dive in at a deeper level. So it's my belief that we are all spiritual messengers. And what I mean by that is that we have an opportunity as individuals, in whatever way we make our living, however we engage with other people, that we have an opportunity to become consciously aware of the ways that the divine, by whatever name, expresses through us when we are interacting with other people. And so for me, a spiritual messenger is someone who is consciously aware of that inner relationship in their interactions with another. And with apologies, because of the new equipment here, I don't have my iPad hooked up. So there are no scribbly drawings this week. They'll come back next week. I'll get it together in time for those things to join us again next week. So today you're just going to have to deal with my hands and my verbalization of the images that I'm seeing in my mind. In any case, the spiritual messenger is one who is consciously aware of their own inner relationship with the divine, and also then aware of divine presence and expression in everyone and everything. And then in a conscious interaction with others. That is to say, when they interact with others, they are consciously aware of that. So it doesn't predicate the way in which we are making, it doesn't determine or force us into some particular path in life. We don't all have to become healers or spiritual teachers to be spiritual messengers. Whatever way you're engaging in your life, as a parent, as a child, as a brother, sister, whatever, in whatever way you make your living and so on, in my book, you're a spiritual messenger. One of the things I've noticed, though, is that, and it doesn't really matter whether we're talking about sort of ostensibly spiritual focuses as ways of being in the world or making a living, or in other ways, it doesn't matter. As human beings, we have this tendency to want to do something to be special, to differentiate ourselves. And in the language of business, this is, at least it was called this back when I was a mortgage lender. Who knows, because I haven't done any sales training in a long, long time. But it used to be called your unique selling proposition and other language like that. And the reason this came up into my awareness is I was talking to this buddy of mine who's still in financial services. And I was asking him, what are you doing to kind of differentiate yourself? And that's the conversation we're having in your marketplace. And all of a sudden, these words came out of my mouth. Your blue ocean strategy is God's presence as you. It's your presence. It's not any of the stuff you can do. It's not how you're a financial planner. And then all of a sudden I started realizing, my goodness, that's true for all of us. And it doesn't really matter whether we're a financial planner or a spiritual teacher or a healer and so on. The fascinating thing is, whether or not we're focused on sort of ostensibly spiritual things or not, we have this tendency to want to be certified. I'm special in this way, or I got these people who, through a special process of languaging and branding and so on, now have turned me into this person. And my point is, we don't have to turn into anything. The way that God is expressing through you right now, that is your blue ocean strategy. Whether or not you're aware of this book, doesn't matter, right? We're all interested in having this way of interacting where we're not trying to, I would guess, it's certainly true for spiritual messengers who are focused on making their living in that way. We're trying to differentiate ourselves. But I think at a deeper level, we both want to individuate and be individuals in the world. But there's also this really profound sense of wanting to be connected. All of these things coming up at this time in this space, in this unique opportunity that we're facing. It's a global opportunity right now. Good Lord, I hope the video didn't just blink out. So anyway, the point I was trying to make to my buddy that I wanted to share with you, and I'm happy to explore it in greater depth if it resonates with you, if it's something you're interested in, is we don't actually have to do anything. We don't have to get certified in any particular way. No one needs a special way of describing who you are or what you do to differentiate yourself. I believe, and I really feel this deeply. The thing that differentiates each of us as human beings is that the divine God, by whatever name, is expressing in a unique way through you, as your personality, as all the ways that you show up in the world. And that individual expression of divinity as you becomes an expression and a being presence that is so profound, it supersedes any of the things that we think are important. It becomes the most important component of our interaction with ourselves and with other people. In fact, I've been telling messengers for a lot of years that I've been teaching messengers, working with them one-on-one and so on. The most valuable thing that we can offer is our presence. And we can offer that in the context of friendship. We can offer that in the context of romantic relationship and familial relationships. We can offer that in the context of business and so on and so forth. And presence, I believe, is the differentiator. And your presence, the way that God expresses as you, is different than, say, my presence or anyone else's presence, because we're all unique people, even though it's my belief, certainly, that the divine expression, the origin, that light that shines through all of us, is coming from one expression, maybe expressing in many, many different ways, perhaps billions of different ways, right? And through everyone and everything. And yet there is this unique expression. So there's something really beautiful about, we're kind of off the hook. We don't have to worry about these things anymore. It's not something we have to work on, which brings up the second theme. And then I want to see what shows up here and what's coming in terms of comments. And I want to make some other adjustment here, because I think I failed to adjust my computer properly. So forgive me for just a moment while I make sure that this is set up correctly and it's not going to put up a screensaver while we're on the phone. Well, we're doing okay, good. Those things are fixed now. So the blue ocean strategy of God's presence as you is something, if you want to think of the work associated with that, it's really about opening up and more fully embodying that unknown divine presence and exploring and deepening your relationship with that, versus trying to think it through or figure out, what do I have to do in terms of writing or working hard or doing other things in our lives to try to differentiate and be different from other people and be the unique expression of divinity that we are. It's not something we have to work on in the conventional sense, but from a spiritual work standpoint, perhaps there is an enormous amount of beautiful work that is available for us to do. Okay, what's the second theme? This is so simple, right? It's such a simple point of awareness, what I'm about to share with you. And it drops out of my awareness with some regularity. And I'm always kind of fascinated when this happens. The point of awareness is, and it's sort of an either or here, right? It's either God is everywhere or God is nowhere, right? In other words, if there are some places where God isn't, then God isn't everywhere. And if God isn't everywhere, then maybe God is nowhere. Well, what's the point of this thought? Well, I mean, it sort of goes hand in hand with the exploration I was just sharing with you. If there's some work that you have to do that God isn't taking care of. By the way, if the name God is pushing your buttons, just substitute something else in. I'm not trying to invoke a religious reference when I use the name God. I'm trying to invoke the name of the nameless one. It's a succinct reference. We could use divine, we could use nameless one, and I mean, there are plenty of spiritual perspectives and religious traditions that don't see divinity as one, but many. I'm not trying to make an exclusionary comment at all. I'm trying to make an inclusionary comment. So if it doesn't feel that way, just substitute in. I'm not making a religious or a tradition-based remark when I use that name. That's not where I'm coming from when I say that. So anyway, if you think about it, the question becomes, if there's something for me to do, then why am I doing that? What's the point of that? If there's something for me to control, then there must be some part of the expression of my life that I'm in charge of. It's some aspect of life that God doesn't have covered. And at least in my own life, this is sort of how the thought process goes. I may think, oh, I need to focus more on this, or this. It could be something in my business or my personal life. I need to do a better job with this. And then I'll think, wait a second. What is mine to do? And what is my work? And then I'll remember. And then the question comes up, right? Where is God? Is God everywhere or is God nowhere? And here is the irrefutable, if I can say that correctly, truth from my perspective. I just offer it as a possible launch point for an exploration if it's something you'd like to explore with words. And we'll be open to that here in just a moment. I promise I'm not going to blabberlanche forever. if there's some work for me to do, some work that is mine, where I'm in charge, then the question becomes, well, if I have to control that, well, then maybe that means that God isn't everywhere, right? And if God isn't everywhere, wait a second, maybe God is nowhere. But here is the irrefutable truth in my life. I know for sure that when I'm in session, whether I'm teaching, whether we're gathered here as a community, or we're in a class together, or on a retreat, or a private session, or whatever, any of the ways that I serve others, and individually or collectively, here's what I know. In that space, without a doubt, is the divine. And what is happening there is so far beyond anything that I'm consciously aware of. I don't begin to even understand everything that's happening, and I'm certainly not causing it. It's not me going, let's do this, let's make this happen, let's make that happen. So if that's true, and it certainly is true in my case, without a doubt for me that's true, then the answer for me is, well, then God's everywhere. And what's up with me thinking I need to handle this? Which offers this beautiful opening for me to surrender, for me to open into a deeper level of trust with divinity. And which leads me to the next point, and then I'm going to take a deep breath and open to whatever comments and see where we want to take this exploration today, which opens up to the next point, which is, how can we open more fully to an experience of that innate relationship? And I think that's one of the things that God does through me. When we gather, when we sit together, whether it's here each Wednesday, or in the deep dive workshop, or in the resonance community, or the sanctuary, any of the other ways that are available for us to be together through live session work, or through pre-recorded stuff, or whatever, self-study programs, I think that's one of the primary things that the divine does through me. And that is to say, there's an embodiment of divine essence that takes place. I call it soul embodiment. It doesn't really matter what the language is, though. It just happens. We open to a visceral experience of who we really are, of that innate relationship. And when we open to that in a more complete way on a regular and consistent basis, that it's not just a thought at that point about God being everywhere. It's an experience. And when things move from idea to experience, a profound shift in perspective has begun to open up. And when that profound shift in perspective begins to flood through every part of life, something profoundly different begins to happen. And the beautiful thing is, it's not about having to dream it up. It's not about having to hold it in awareness. It's not about having to repeat mantras or hold intention or clarify the purity of thought or any of these types of things. And I'm not trying to knock that stuff. I'm simply saying we don't have to shoulder that burden. It's not up to us, except for us to get out of the way, except for us to allow divinity to express through us, in us, and as us. Okay, those are the few thoughts I wanted to share today before I open up to comments. I just want to acknowledge and thank Lizzie for checking in and saying hi. Loving the weekly emails, profound yet simple, heartfelt messages. Awesome, Lizzie. Thanks for checking in. Lizzie is sharing more. I haven't read this. Let's see. You can spend a fortune on trainings and workshops on marketing and strategy for being the best in your field, but golly, it's really so simple thinking of our God light as our USP. Yeah, that's right. Unique selling proposition. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Let's see what Susan has to say. Seems if God expresses through me, then I don't have to focus on anything. I just have to get out of the way. That's exactly right. It is so counterintuitive, right? And we can explore, like, what do we do with the noise, with the dissonance that shows up? You know, the physical pain, the emotional suffering. How do we address that? I mean, we can have a conversation about that if that's of interest to you. Anyone, just comment, write in. I'm happy to share, happy to explore. And once we get to that place where we are really ready to open up, that is to say, the relationship is anchored on the level of experience. This is all from my perceptual view, by the way, which is certainly limited. So I offer it in service to you in your journey. I'm not trying to tell you here's how it is. I'm saying this is how I perceive it. And how is this showing up for you? I'm leaning in to try to make a point. Does it make the point? Okay, so great feedback, Susan. And also, Angelica, let it flow. Exactly right. Let it flow. And if we let it flow and recognize that flow is opening up from a place that does not originate within our thoughts. It can, but the thing is, consider this. What if the thought that you're holding, the intention you're holding in your life is aiming this direction, whatever this is, and divine flow is aiming this direction? What's the difference between these two directions? I'm going to hold it like this so you can see it, right? I mean, if we measure it at an angle, we can come up with some definition of that, right? But more than that, doesn't this show up as tension? But what if these two are one? And do you really think that divine flow is going to like alter course? Oh, sure, it's this thing. Now, in one stage of consciousness, that's how we perceive it, right? But think about it. Even in that stage of consciousness, even when you snap your fingers and beautiful things are unfolding in your life, isn't there a deeper sense of fulfillment that you're really wanting to open up to that's missing? And maybe you're chasing it, right? Maybe you're pursuing it. Maybe you're seeking it. I want a deeper sense of fulfillment, so I'm going to have this experience. My relationship is going to look like this. I'm going to acquire these things. I'm going to make a difference in these people's lives, whatever. But here's the thing. Once you end up doing those things, guess what? It's still not there yet. Why is that? Because your idea of where true north is and actual true north, divine flow, could be a little bit off or maybe a lot off. And when you let go of control, this flow begins expressing everywhere. Initially, it's terrifying. Oh my gosh, what is God going to do with my life? I don't want my life to be God's responsibility. It's my responsibility. I want it the way I want it, right? But that I, the one who's saying that, is the separate self. That's the one who thinks, oh, God's separate from me. I've been abandoned by God, or I'm being punished, or if I don't follow these special rules, then I'm not going to have God's favor, and so I need to do it a certain way. Or the separate self is thinking, you know what? I have this beautiful, amazing dream of how the world can be, or how my life can be, or the experience I want to have right now. I want that. And when I have that, that's going to mean fill in the blank, fill in the blank, fill in the blank, right? But here's the deal. This divine flow is happening all the time. It's like saying, I really, really want it to rain. And outside, you look out, it's not right now. It's hot here in Fort Collins, Colorado, where I live. But when I look outside, if it were raining right now, if I were saying, I want it to rain, and it were raining over there, but it's not raining here. I want it to rain here. I want it to rain here. Well, I'm looking for something to take place according to the way that I think it should happen. But when I let go of my attachment or I let go of control and open to that flow, then it gets to express the way divinity is expressing. What a profound sense of resonance and experience of resonance. Okay, so how do we know it is God speaking us through us and not our ego pretending to be? Such a good question. Such a good question, Lizzie. You know, this is really a function of relationship, isn't it? Doesn't it really come down to what is your relationship with God? I mean, initially you might think, God is telling me that I'm going to have these experiences. And maybe God is telling you you're going to have those experiences, right? And then you start thinking, well, how's that going to happen? And then you start thinking, well, I know how it's going to happen. I'll make it happen this way and this way. And what's different between that and someone who says, oh, wow, there's a vision for what God is wanting to express through me. I'm going to follow that vision. And they follow it. What's the difference between those two? And maybe a third person who says, I don't know, I can't hear God, but this is what I want to do. And what's wrong with doing what I want to do? For me, it's all about relationship. It's all about refinement. It's all about trying to understand. And truthfully, it's about feeling. It's about that experience that I was talking about at the beginning of our time together today. As we're meditating together and doing divine connecting breath, one of the reference points that I think is happening with divine connecting breath is this opening to the physical feedback that is that outward sign of that inner relationship with divinity. And so once we begin developing and nurturing that, we can start to begin to differentiate and discern between ideas that are coming up in separation, or what I would refer to as the separate self, and ideas that are coming in from the whole self. Here's the other thing. If we have attachment to something happening a particular way, I'm going to suggest that that attachment is a reference to the separate self, whereas the whole self is not attached. This could be confusing, right? Because if you're getting guidance that you should be doing something or a certain experience is going to unfold in your life, why wouldn't you get attached to it? And the thing that I'm always reminding myself is those visions, those points of guidance, they're guiding me into a process that I don't understand. I actually have no idea what that process is. I used to think I did, and now I just think, I don't have a clue where I'm being led. I have no idea. I mean, I can see something, I think it means something, but if I become attached to that, now I know I'm fixated on my interpretation of that. What if that vision was just there to get me on the moving a certain direction and encountering other people and having a conversation and so on? So notice in your awareness in that internal relationship, where are attachments showing up? Where is that sense of responsibility? Is it, I need to do this so that this can happen, or I'm feeling called in service to something that is beyond me? Am I open to that call taking a U-turn and going back the way I came from, or a left when I thought I was going right? I guess those are reversed when you're looking at them on the screen. But anyway, the point is, are you connected to a process and listening, or are you focused on outcome? Outcome has a tendency to be related to separate self. Process could be separate self, but it also could be whole self, especially if it's stepping into the unknown. It's a quick answer, or a Ken version of a quick answer to a much longer answer that I'm trying not to get all caught up in here, Lizzie. Okay, I'm just going to go to what Lizzie just wrote, and then Judy, I'll come to you here. Yes, so it's like a knowing, loving buzzing inside my heart. Yes, that would be one expression of it. For me, literally, it's the buzzing in my hands and feet. Lizzie, that's how I know that I'm on the right path. And as I'm sitting here talking with you, my hands and feet are just buzzing like crazy. That is happening all the time in my life. And when the buzzing goes away, hands means something a little bit different than feet. But without getting into all of that, I mean, I'm happy to get into it, but the point is just to make the point, to respond to you. When I feel that physical resonance, I know I'm on the right path. Even if my mind is saying, what the heck are you doing, Ken? Why are you doing this? This doesn't make any rational sense. Don't do that. That's a big, deep well you're jumping into. If I'm being led there, if I'm being called there, if I have a sense of that resonance associated with what I'm doing, then I know I'm on the right path, even if I have no idea what the right path is or where I'm being led. Okay, Judy is saying, so now that all of my labels have become irrelevant, it has left more space for God and being in presence without fussing about what's next. Absolutely brilliant. That's brilliant, Judy. Brilliant. Beautiful. Lizzie, you're saying tears are welling up now for some reason. Bless you. Bless you. It's for some reason. Listen, I cry at the truth too. I am moved all the time by that extraordinarily intimate relationship as it unfolds in my own life and as I'm blessed to have the opportunity to witness it unfolding in others. It is deeply moving. Tears are not, for me, they're not tears of sadness. They're tears of awe and wonder. They move me to the brink of what I'm capable of understanding or conceptualizing. And when I abandon the thing that I think I understand, or the structure or the concept that I'm somehow attached to or think relates to something that I think I understand, and I just allow myself to move into the unknown, that presence, that intimacy with God, something profoundly different begins to happen. I can tell you story after story after story in my own journey as a spiritual messenger and witnessing other spiritual messengers. It doesn't make any rational sense, right? We think it should happen this way. We think there's a way to do something in business, And if we are in a spiritual business, we think even more challenging. How do we make that happen? How do we show up authentically and so on? And the minute we start thinking we need to conform to this idea or this coaching strategy or this this blueprint, blah, all this stuff, at least that's my experience, and that's what I've witnessed in the people I've worked with. Those ideas are all coming from a place of control. God's expression does not require our control. In fact, quite the opposite. Requires us to step back out of the way. And then God's expression flows through every part of our being in life. Beautiful. Okay. I'm going to be open to just a few more comments or questions if there's anything else coming in that you'd like to explore, but I can already feel us sinking into a deeper exploration, much fewer words and more of an interior experience, a place where we can once again close our eyes if they're not already and really go into that interior place. So maybe just giving a little bit of space here for anyone that'd like to comment or reflect in. A quick ad, if I could. Here's the ad. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel if what we're exploring right now is resonating with you. That way you'll know next time I go live or a video post. Actually, the only way you'll know is if you click the bell to be notified. But anyway, subscribe and click the bell. And if what we're exploring right here, if this experience is meaningful for you, please do give it a thumbs up, because it goes into the algorithm. And the more that people interact, the more people like something, the more subscribers engage and blah, 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 all these things that I don't really understand, the more other people become aware of it and have an opportunity to join us in this experience. And I would love to share this experience, not just with you, but others just like you who are interested in coming together and sitting and resonating together. Okay, so Susan is saying, I feel a little lost because whenever we get together to meditate, my mind goes elsewhere. I don't feel led to anything. Here's why I'm giggling, Susan, because anytime we get together, probably a lot of people feel that way. There's an emptiness that opens up. It's a little bit of a contradiction for me to try to talk about something, right? Because here I am trying to talk about something that's engaging you at a thinking level. And realistically, it doesn't really matter any of the things I'm saying. I should have said that up front. If you find yourself drifting into another space now, Susan, I know we've sat together many times and you already know this. The reason I share ideas is because for those that are sitting in the circle for whom the idea is important, here is an idea. Eventually, the importance of the ideas will disappear for all of us. And instead, the experience of the divine, not the divine that I have a relationship with, the divine you have a relationship with, the divine within you, that is the sprouting, blooming, expressing garden of divine presence within you. And you will be consumed with that. And there will be nothing that I could possibly say that would enhance that. And the only way that God's expression through me might be of service at that point is to support the opening and deepening of that experience, which requires absolutely no words, 0 words. So, Susan, don't worry about the words. Just be in the experience. And if you drift away, hallelujah. Gary's got a comment. I don't feel like I have to do what I felt I had to do for everyone. And now I feel like I just show up where necessary and shifts happen like magic. Girl, that's a beautiful way to say it. And the magic shift I want to suggest from my perspective, my language about this, Gary, is that magic shift is taking place because of divine presence in you. There it is, God's blue ocean strategy for you. It's an expression that we could call magic. I used to have a really hard time with that idea. Some past life stuff bleeding through there, or this idea that divinity isn't magic, and gosh darn it, we all need to really understand that. But anyway, I think I've let go of that now. That magic of divine presence, it's something beyond our ability to grasp, and yet it's fully developed and expressed in each of us in this really beautiful way. Okay, I hope, Susan, that I've addressed and encouraged you in some way. Gary, thanks for reflecting and tuning in. Lizzie and Judy and everyone who has commented here. If there are additional comments coming up, I'll try to respond before we wrap up. And of course, for those that are listening to the replay, I'll engage with you through the comments on the replay. All right, for now, let's take a deep breath in and hold. And as you begin releasing your breath, I just invite you to ride that elevator down from the mind and the ideas we've been exploring into your heart and the feelings of flow and love, perhaps that have been expressing or experiencing through the words and under the words in our time together, even lower, down into the hips, down into the being presence, that profound resonance that results and can only result from the experience of the divine within, the embodied divine within you. If you think of it this way, it's just enough language to be interesting for those that need something interesting to think about. And if you don't, you can let go of anything and everything, because the words are not the method of conveyance. In fact, nothing is being conveyed. I am not sending you anything. What is happening, I believe, in my language, the divine within you is enlivened by the divine within me. And there are no words necessary for that. We can sit in absolute silence as we're about to do and resonate profoundly and be who you really are. There's a shortened version of divine connecting breath that sounds like this. The river is flowing. The river is flowing. The river is flowing. Be the river. Be. If you just stumbled across this video and somehow showed up here, we're sitting and resonating. You could think of it as a prayer or a meditation, but in this prayer, there's nothing being asked, only being. And in this meditation, we're not observing anything. We're being the complete integrated expression of all that we are. And when I say we, I mean you. Yes, it's true for all of us here, that the only experience that really matters, I want to suggest, is the experience that's unfolding within you for you. And on that front, be fully with whatever is opening up, not just into your awareness at the level of images or concepts. For on that level, there might be absolute silence, a black screen or a blank screen, and emptiness. Instead, I invite you to open into the feeling experience. Here too, there might be a blank screen and emptiness. How beautiful if that is the case. And how beautiful whatever it is that is unfolding in you and through you and as you right now. For whatever it is the deeper experience of the divine. Oh, I love these little love notes that come in from the divine. The divine named Tim says, "Today is the main event. Being childlike, unwrapping the present." And the divine named Judy is saying, "I'm so grateful for our times together in the silence or not." Be with whatever is unfolding for you. It's such a beautiful gift that you get to give yourself. And you can give it to yourself right now. The river is flowing. Be the river. Be the blue ocean of God's expression as you. Be. Remember, whatever is coming up is beautiful. It's a good reminder in all of life. You might wake up some mornings and think, I can take on the world. I have exactly what's needed. Everything is perfect. And you might wake up other mornings and think, oh my goodness, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know which way is up, or many other emotions and feelings, of course. And whatever they are, what a beautiful gift to be with them and explore them and learn from them and open to whatever gifts they are delivering to you. And so it is right now. Perhaps it's a deep sense of peace or an inner calm that hasn't happened in a while or maybe ever. Perhaps there's some discomfort coming up emotionally about something that has been suppressed for a while, or maybe you don't have any idea where it's coming from. Or perhaps there's some discomfort physically, or perhaps giggles or tears, or whatever it is. Just be with it fully. Doesn't matter if it makes sense. It's so beautiful to open up to the divine mystery, the divine that's known let's call that a projection or an attachment based on what we think we understand. If you can, let go. If you're ready, let go of that and open to something new. Not new because that isn't enough, just new because new is unknown, unknowable, yet right here within you. And not just within you, within everyone, within everything. Not something you have to imagine or dream up or create or cause to happen. It's already created. It is being caused. It is unfolding in the totality, individually and collectively. It's what's happening. It may not appear to be what's happening. It's definitely what's happening. The river is flowing. A beautiful reminder, too. If there's noise coming up and the shortened divine connecting breath isn't helpful to you, do the long form. With each breath, you are connected to everyone and everything above, upon, and within the planet. Indeed, as the breath of the planet expands to the breath of the cosmos, with each breath you are connected to everyone and everything throughout all of creation, including that energy that underlies everything else. The divine, a light, perhaps initially at a great distance, drawing closer with each breath, closer still until eventually you can perceive those twin frequencies intertwined such that there is no separating one from the other. The light connecting into each of the smallest aspects of you, the invitation to return to your natural state of resonance and alignment with your true nature, the artifacts of dissonance falling away at the universal drain. The divine is becoming you, and you are becoming the divine, and the river is flowing. The river is flowing. Not because we speak it or know it, because it is. The divine is becoming you and you are becoming the divine, not because I spoke it or see it or witness it. I certainly don't hold the intention. It simply is the light inviting each of the smallest aspects of you to return to your natural state of alignment and resonance. And there's nothing to do but to feel whatever comes up. If you feel it in service to what is unfolding, you get a small glimpse into your role to feel and experience whatever is showing up fully, to integrate what is there to be integrated, and in your feeling to transmute what is still held in separation, that you may open to experiencing and expressing more fully all that you really are. For you are, and it is. The river is flowing. Mm. Mm. You are a blossom on the tree of divine expression, the tree of divine humanity. The life-giving nutrients that flow in through and as you come from the tree of life from God directly through you. It's easy to be confused and think that you cause them to flow into you and into your life and into the world. You are, after all, a beautiful flower on this tree, just as is everyone already. The river is flowing. Be the river. Be. If thoughts drift into noise, into dissonance, you can remind yourself with each breath the river is flowing. If a sensation that is too uncomfortable to be present with comes up, you can remind yourself with each breath the river is flowing. And if your mind is saying, and then what? You can remind yourself with each breath, the river is flowing, and be. Those waves of resonance moving through your body are just an example of that outward expression of the inner relationship with the divine, an expression of the embodied divine within you. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's all good. Just be with whatever is coming up. And if you're wondering, well, that buzzing or warmth or tingling or feels like oil's being poured over my head or whatever it is, yeah, that's probably part of it, but I have no idea what it is. I'm not trying to be clever when I say that. I don't know what your experience is. I can just feel what is happening in the collective, and I feel it only as it shows up into my intuitive guidance system through my body. And over time, I've learned to interpret those sensations to mean, generally speaking, certain kinds of things. When my hands start buzzing, there's an expression that is of resonance that is taking place at the level of the body or in the outward expression of one's being. And so as I begin feeling that, it's just a wonderful sign of the level of integration that is unfolding right now. Mm. Mm. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. What an honor it is to sit with you. Mm. Kimberly commented on Facebook and said, I hope I can find this replay. I'm sure you can, Kimberly. It'll be on my professional Facebook page, but an even better way to get to it is to click the link in the description on Facebook. It's on any platform, and it's a bit.ly extension. Just click that. That'll subscribe you to my YouTube channel, and this live stream will be available on YouTube. And I think it's labeled God's Blue Ocean Strategy. And it will be, let's see, what's today's date? The 24th of June, 2020. It'll have that date on it, and then you'll be able to find it, no problem. So glad you're here, and everyone else who is present and participating now. I'm going to invite you, when you're ready, to begin returning the universal plug. I'll do the same as I begin bringing this transmission to a close. It is so deeply meaningful to have an opportunity to sit with you in this way. Thank you for showing up, for setting aside the time, for being present, for opening up to a deeper experience of the divine within, and for the absolutely extraordinary privilege of witnessing and supporting you in that work. It is such an honor to go exploring with you every week, as we do here in this virtual community circle, this free gathering for anyone and everyone who would choose to join us. Certainly welcome to share it with anyone. Before you leave, if the experience has resonated with you, please give it a thumbs up or a like, or whatever the appropriate way of saying that is. And if you haven't so far and you'd like to, I invite you to subscribe. I'll stay on for just a few moments and to say thank you. But for now, so grateful, bringing the transmission all the way to a close, plug all the way in. Thank you for being here, for being present, for showing up in the world as you really are, for opening up to a more complete experience of divinity as you, moving through you, in you, as you, in every part of your life, and for all the ways that you are consciously opening up to that inward experience of the relationship with the divine and becoming consciously aware of that in your relationship and service with others. It's a big deal, you being who you really are, and to sit with you and be who I really am in this circle. It's one of the great honors of my life. Yanya checking in. Thank you for that transmission. It was transcendent. Thanks for being here, Yanya. Gary, lots of love. So glad this resonated with you. Thank you to everyone. Thank you for being here. And I look forward to being with you again very soon. Bye for now. Yay.